station in the Inland Empire. KCAA, the station that leaves no listener behind. Express 106.5 FM.
Welcome to the International Wealth Builders Association radio talk show. I'm your host, Jasmine Mulwa. We are on KCAA Broadcasting Network. You know, I am a member of many groups nationwide because that's what I love to do. Network is the key to my success. One of the ones that I'd like to mention is the Finest Women in Real Estate. So that's something I want to shout out as well because we do plenty of business with them here in San Diego. Personally, I started investing in mortgage notes about 13 years ago and started a company about 10 years ago to this day. We're coming up on our 10-year anniversary to help investors learn about the paper space. And so today I have a very special guest and friend of mine, Kelly Wingett, who has also inspired me to do many things, including opening up a fund, which is our Make Money and Go to Heaven fund. So we're really here to talk to you guys about why funds are important. Kelly also runs a fund of her own, which I'm very happy to promote and tell you all about and get involved with, because again, this is what we're doing and these are things that are transforming our lives. So I'm going to bring in Kelly Wingett, and what we're going to do is just take it easy in the beginning and get to know each other, because relationships, again, are so fundamental, especially when you're talking about reaching this level of success. Kelly, how are you doing?
I'm so good. It's another hot day in Texas. It's always fun to see you with the cowboy hat, even though you live in California. You probably wear a cowboy hat more than cowboys do in Texas.
No, for real. Like, I've just decided that I look cute in a cowboy hat, so I'm just doing it.
Everyone looks good in the cowboy hat.
So that's
fine. I'm so happy to be doing this with you. You know, kind of our background, like we met a couple of years ago, and we found, you know, the similarities between what you're doing in note investing in real estate and the mineral rights space. And my background is I'm 5 generations in oil and gas. This is how I got started in the alternative space. And I'm really familiar with mineral rights and working interest because my family has passed it down through generations, and we've also worked in the industry. So when we started talking about mineral rights and notes, it was like, oh, this is great. Also, this adds extra value to your real estate notes in certain states. And so I think we're going to try to branch into educating people about that. I've been in the private investment space for over a decade. I've worked on over 150 different funds. And in 2020, when the pandemic hit, I started my own. And that was because I wanted to offer investors more transparency and access to family office type deals without having to go through the big private equity firms or a mutual fund or something on the market, right? So I'm really out here. I'm glad that I've inspired you to do your own fund, because I think more people should have more control of like their own projects, their own deals, and definitely the investors having more control of where they put their money and who they put their money with.
Right. So let's talk about that more, because yes, meeting you, I'd love to talk about it because this is one of my passions. It was almost a love at first sight, right? Yes. If someone was looking from a third party way, they probably saw hearts in our eyes, like literally like, what? This is what you do. This is what you do. So yeah, this is something that once I realized I was less than 1 degree of separation from someone who could educate me on so many different things, which is including, like she mentioned, the mineral rights. She also does a lot of investing in like fintech and things like that, and how to invest in equity in companies. This is a side of the business that I didn't spend my last 15, 20 years doing. If you know about me, I spent my life was raised in real estate, like on the hard side of it. So learning about the paper side blew my mind. I was like, we got to get into it. So some of the similarities that we found with mineral rights and paper was, one is that it was a really passive investment, right?
Oh yeah, super passive, because you it's like being a landlord to oil and gas, just the physical oil and gas, right? And your tenants are people like ExxonMobil. And so you can buy deeded property, right? Under the eyes of the government. Oil and gas is treated a lot like real estate. Amazing. And so you have, three different rights to your property. You have air rights, surface rights, and mineral rights, right? And the mineral rights include your water rights. In some places, water rights, mineral rights are all separated, right? And these are all the kind of the nuances of that space. But when you're buying a mortgage, right, a property, you have these other aspects to it that you can look at. That do you also have ownership of that? And I think that you just released some property in Oklahoma, and that was part of it. You want to make sure that in these oil heavy states, Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, North Dakota, Colorado, and some of the East Coast states, we're talking about
Pennsylvania has a lot of natural gas. I'm
oh
finding
yeah.
out. And water rights amazing. That's a new thing. So I mean, I want to keep this current today too. So when we get into our next segment, let's dig in a little bit about that, because these are these alternative investments with asymmetrical risk that we are giving people opportunity to get involved in. Just like, how do I get involved with all the mineral water is right now in the news like nobody's business, right? I mean, half of the country is flooding. The other half is parched.
Yes. Yeah.
Want to save our lives. Go ahead.
Yeah. So if you I think it's really a boring subject, oil and gas and water, but in Texas and California especially, like, water is a really big deal, right? And it's all reliant on snow really melting and then refilling the
basins,
river, right? So in Colorado, this is the biggest issue, the Colorado River that goes down to Mexico, right? And it's dried up on the southern side, right? And it's all because the water allocation was too much from the very beginning, right? And so now they're trying to figure out how do they reallocate the water
and have fun doing that.
Yeah, have fun.
The negotiation tables are not friendly. California's not budging an inch, so
and Texas is suing New Mexico. So there's
it's good times, man.
Yeah, Texas has a lot of. We build. So a fun fact about Texas is that I think like 99% of the lakes in Texas are man-made, and it's literally just for storing water. And so we have all of these beautiful lakes that everyone gets to go play on, but in reality, it like waters our yards. And we've basically just taken like old farmland or like forests and stuff and drowned it and turned it into a lake.
This is wow.
Okay. And it's got a really terrible history behind it, but
nonetheless,
Texas is protecting itself that way.
Right. And then look, so water rights are important. So these are some of the things that we are able to get access in, because one of the amount of money that we raise in our fund, right? So they're going to have access to it. So we're going to get a lot more into why we invest in funds, what motivated us to get in, who funds are really for, right? So I want to talk more about it. One of our goals here is to make sure you guys have consistent access, trusted access information about funds, what you should be looking for before you get involved with them, and why they are so important to people who want to not only preserve, but accumulate wealth, right? Right now, we have things like recessions that are coming towards us, inflation that are hitting upside the head. And with these extraordinary circumstances, as far as I'm concerned, you need to have access to extraordinary assets. So that's one of the things that we want to make sure that you guys have clear communication about and have a place to come to. So you're going to come back here once a month to hear us, and hopefully we'll get a little bit more involved and speak to you a little sooner and more often. But right now, before we get to the commercial break, I really want to talk about and lead into this. There are a lot of things going on in the fund space right now, a lot of growth and a lot of restrictions. What is so important, and does your fund do anything to do with the ESG?
Yes. So ESG, if you're not familiar with it, is like the environmental governance, social governance of the investment, right? How does it impact the government? How does it impact socially? And, is there oversight, right? And how is this investment affecting those three things? And it's a big mandate for a lot of these large hedge funds. It's in the news everywhere. Everybody's trying to have ESG mandate.
I think it originated in Canada, right?
I'm sure it did. And the reality is that I have some personal opinions about the ESG label, but I think that it is a good thing of pushing companies into being responsible about the things that they're giving money to. And so there is a positive in it all. However, My personal opinion is that it wasn't defined enough in the beginning, and so people have just kind of like run rampant with what it really means, because you saw it with Tesla, like, to bring it into like a real sense, is like Tesla was listed on the ESG in the market, and then he went crazy with Twitter and got bumped off, but Exxon's on there, and so
it can be watered down at sometimes. This is going to be, I hope you know where I'm going with this. If you don't, out there in the audience and the listeners out there, we're going to take a short commercial break, but really I'm led into this for a reason, because we're going to start talking about some current events. So really appreciate your time here. We'll be right with you. And thank you for listening to KCAA Broadcasting Network, listening to the two ladies who love to talk to you about investing in funds.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services, including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing, and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
The toughest part in the lending process is patience. Like I tell all my clients, once you get those keys in hand, it'll all be worth it.
Everything that they said they were going to do, they did. I saved so much money working with First Lending Solutions. I love my new house. I couldn't be happier.
So reach out to me at First Lending Solutions so I can help you get started.
You can contact Dafina Miller with First Lending Solutions at 951-973-0123, dafinamillermortgage.com.
Are you a real estate investor looking for a new opportunity in one of the top tourist destinations in the world? Look no further. Welcome to Punta Cana. Perla Bahia is a private resort-style community in Punta Cana that consists of modern condos, custom villas, and various commercial amenities. So if you're interested in learning more or joining us on one of our monthly investment tours, don't hesitate to contact me today at 909-494-2280.
Real Men of Real Estate with Steve Matley, construction manager and real estate developer, business owner, and educator.
Did you know that right now there's 22,000 units deficit?
Tunde Ogunwale, real estate development professional, Naval Academy grad, and veteran with a deep understanding of the public sector process.
All of us want to live in thriving communities.
Brian Fox, real estate expert and investor, dedicated to helping hundreds of clients make money in real estate every year.
There's so much housing going in.
The builders are begging for more land.
Future company can come in, lease up space to employ those people who are living in the homes.
We have to put the housing in place.
We either have to have houses, they want to make sure that there's a strong employment logistics centers, things like information hubs. We are a shipping economy now. There's economies all over the country where their prices are doubling and tripling.
This is Steve Matley. Join me every Thursday at 3 p.m. right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations radio talk show. I spent decades as a professional construction manager, business owner, real estate developer, and a college educator, and I enjoy learning new things from other people. We talk a lot about real estate, business, and finance, but we cover a diverse range of other topics as well. Some of the topics we've discussed in the past few months include real estate investing, leadership, higher education, ADUs, marketing using technology, multifamily rental properties, business strategy, entrepreneurship. You never know who may show up or what they may talk about. So join us right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations Radio. Hi, this is Steve Matley. As a construction professional, I know the importance of selecting the right contractor for the job. Power Solar employs only professional installers. Power Solar will provide a knowledgeable consultant to help analyze your current electric bill, identify site placement, and correct solar technology for your home. Contact kcaaproducer@gmail.com for a free financial savings proposal with no obligation, or call 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken. Again, that's kcaaproducer@gmail.com or 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken.
Welcome back. If you are continuing to listen to us, we are starting to get into the current events of what's happening in the world of big money. I'm here with special guest, Kelly Wingett, out of Texas. She has such an exciting background, and her level of expertise is someone that I love to sit around and talk shop with. So right now, we're kind of bridging on this whole ESG thing. And for those of you who are familiar with it and are looking into getting into funds, this is one of the newest phenomena and waves that's come over the fund industry. And it's really because we have seen, especially recently in the headlines, a lot of lack of governance, if you will, right? And so WeWork is one of the things that comes to mind. And so that CEO is notorious. So you've got two women here. Let's think about this. You've got two women here who are actively out there in the space of raising funds, just like the CEO of WeWork was and still is. And so we obviously go into some similar and yet different obstacles. And so you can imagine the types of feelings we may have about people and things that are not required to do such governance, because without governance, it is dangerous. So I want to pick up where we left off with Kelly, because she was telling us about some of the things that are good and bad, at least in her opinion, about the ESG movement. And I found a few, things that are a little on the dark side as well. But overall, I think we believe this is going in the right direction. What do you think?
Yeah, the good thing about the ESG thing, especially as women fund managers, is that it is pushing the capital into our direction. And not that I want to feel like we're a trend right now. We are definitely taking advantage of the opportunity that the perceived masses want to see more women in charge, right? They want to see them getting more capital. They want to see more women founders. The big banks are trying to find ways to fund minorities, whether that's for a star sticker or not. It's getting money into the right hands, right?
There have actually been a lot of Bloomberg studies about how when you're investing with women and minorities, and then some similar, not to digress too much, about gentrification versus what's it called? Is it intrification, or when you invest in the people? So, and it's found to be substantially more profitable to do that when you bring diversity in. So the studies and the money as normal is what I think is fueling this, although there can be some trendy side to it. But I do want to acknowledge that they are making money. We are profitable people to invest with.
Yes. And so I think that the ESG movement is pressuring people to go ahead and make that change. Mm-hmm. Women are still only getting less than 3% of the private capital, which is embarrassing. Right. And when you're talking about reworks with Newman, he literally got for those of you who don't know, you can go Google this.
Let's refresh the story. Yeah.
He got a check for $350 million. This is a venture cap, this is just basically a huge check for an idea. He doesn't have, there's nothing else.
And let's talk about the story real quick, because there's nothing wrong with you getting a $350 million check. But here's the deal. First of all, that's just one of the investors' checks that he's getting. So that is not in total of what he's raising. So are we talking about just envy alone of the checks? It's not just that. It's not even that, if I were to say that. It's really more the fact that this gentleman has a track record of not being governed and handling things correctly when it comes to the business. So WeWorks, go ahead and do some research on it. We won't get into too much here, but they literally were a bang and a bust, boom and a bust type of situation, right? And it's mostly because of the way he handled things. So things could have been handled well. So when you're looking at people who have to always be better when they're doing something and put their best foot forward, who have to try with every ounce of their soul to make sure that they're doing right in every situation, to make sure that their transgressions are not, made bigger than normal, right? So for people who are doing this, to see someone make such a huge mistake and what they call fail up, right? It's very interesting, because most of us don't have that many chances, never mind to fail up in such a large and grandiose way. So really, when you look at the WeWork situation, we think that this ESG may help us a little bit. And that's why I want to get people's opinion, is do you think it's going to help rail in some of this? And also give some of us who are actually, we have we don't even have the room to do such type of transgression. So the risk is really less when you work with some of us. And so getting us more opportunities is really what we're talking about. Would you agree?
Right. So I think that it is definitely going to push us in the right direction. The issue with someone like that getting that kind of attention is, from our perspective as female fund managers or females in private equity, in that space, we're looking at this like just like you said, we don't have the opportunity to fail up. Women mostly don't. And this isn't a like woe with us women party, but like you have somebody that failed once, okay, is one thing, but also still failing. Like WeWorks is still not, it has not done anything. They tried again and still failed.
Right.
And now we don't know a lot about what he is pitching to these people, right? So
it's gotta be a good pitch.
Maybe it is the next Amazon, okay, or whatever. But the reality is that the way that it has been made to sound, like the little information that we have,
very vague. It's very vague.
Very vague. And also, he's already done a concept like this with We Live, right?
I was gonna say it's not as the most original thing out there. So
so I'm hoping that maybe there's something. And the big investor that wrote this check is really large in the crypto and Web3 space.
Gotcha.
Now, so this could be okay. So he's come up with some sort of Web3.
Definitely going to involve some of that blockchain stuff, from what I'm hearing.
Right, but the issue is like, it sounds like they're going to try to tokenize Airbnb's model, and which doesn't make any sense. So I'm excited to like learn more about it. But
right. So good luck on it. Yeah, definitely.
But giving a company a 300, like an over $1 billion valuation for nothing is
such an abstract idea.
Is what we saw with the tech space a few years ago, where you had these unicorn companies coming and they make zero money and then they disappear off the face of the earth.
Right.
So
then we've got some tried and true type of models, like what you're doing there at Alternative Wealth Investing, Wealth Partners. So when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about what you're doing, what your fund invests in, because the bottom line is when Wall Street and when investors, especially like ourselves, who are not able to strike those $300 million checks and walk away, some of us are just looking to cement our legacy. We need things that are a little less risky, but still afford similar type of returns, right? And so that's really why I think us bringing this education and be able to translate what's happening on the largest side of things, Web3, it's coming, it's exciting, right? But right now, when we talk about where we're sitting, I believe that some of that money should be trickling down to some of the places where we know we're going to see some tremendous returns. And so we are focusing on some of the, and some of, wait till you hear some of the things that Kelly's investing in, right? So it's not just some of the traditional things like we talked about, minerals and rights and oil, but those are important too, because it's not going anywhere, right? So no matter what you think about certain things, when we come back, I want you guys to understand that we're here to talk to you as grownups. We're going to put in our big girl bloomers, as they say. We're going to talk about all of these assets that are out there that aren't going away, and how is it that we can best invest in those things. So Kelly, thank you for your time. We're going to come back right after this commercial break and talk more about what you're doing and how we can get involved with this opportunity.
FireUp Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. FireUp Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services, including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing, and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. FireUp Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
The toughest part in the lending process is patience. Like I tell all my clients, once you get those keys in hand, it'll all be worth it.
Everything that they said they were going to do, they did. I saved so much money working with First Lending Solutions. I love my new house. I couldn't be happier.
So reach out to me at First Lending Solutions so I can help you get started.
You can contact Defina Miller with First Lending Solutions at 951-973-0123, definamillermortgage.com.
Are you a real estate investor looking for a new opportunity in one of the top tourist destinations in the world? Look no further. Welcome to Punta Cana. Perla Bahia is a private resort-style community in Punta Cana that consists of modern condos, custom villas, and various commercial amenities. So if you're interested in learning more or joining us on one of our monthly investment tours, don't hesitate to contact me today at 909-494-2280.
Real men of real estate.
Men of Real Estate radio show here on KCAA. Boats, mortgages can be purchased.
All of us want to live in thriving communities.
Basically, go to the radio station KCAA radio.com.
You can find us on your dial at 102.3 FM, 1050 AM, as well as 106.5 FM.
This is Steve Matley. Join me every Thursday at 3 p.m. right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations radio talk show. I spent decades as a professional construction manager, business owner, real estate developer, and a college educator, and I enjoy learning new things from other people. We talk a lot about real estate, business, and finance, but we cover a diverse range of other topics as well. Some of the topics we've discussed in the past few months include real estate investing, leadership, higher education, ADUs, marketing using technology, multifamily rental properties, business strategy, entrepreneurship. You never know who may show up or what they may talk about. So join us right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations Radio. Hi, this is Steve Matley. As a construction professional, I know the importance of selecting the right contractor for the job. Power Solar employs only professional installers. Power Solar will provide a knowledgeable consultant to help analyze your current electric bill, identify site placement, and correct solar technology for your home. Contact KCAA Producer at gmail.com for a free financial savings proposal with no obligation, or call 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken. Again, that's KCAA Producer at gmail.com or 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken.
Welcome back. So excited to be here with Kelly Wingett of Alternative Wealth Partners. We are your fund ladies, and we're not talking FUN or FUND. Do not get that mistaken. Although we're going to have a lot of fun here, and we have been so far talking about some of the current events out there in the world of fundraising. And today, our special guest, Kelly Wingett, I want to dig into more of the things that you're doing, because enough talk, excuse me, about the big boys out there and how they're, bulls in a china shop. What are you doing to protect investors and bring them access to some of these asymmetrical risks that are out there, where you don't have to strike a $350 million check? Tell us about your fund.
Right. So my background, I've been in alternatives for over a decade. And so I worked for those big boys. I've been in those big boy rooms, and I went out and bought a truck bigger than theirs so that I could do this on my own. And so I started Alternative Wealth Partners with the mission of creating transparency and access to the private equity space. And that's being able to buy equity in companies and assets that can, basically create alpha for the investor outside of Wall Street. Investors have a lot of control of their money. It's your money, and you need to remember that, because you might have started early in your career where your money started ending up in your retirement accounts managed by somebody else, and you never had to think about it. You witnessed this in 2008. You're going to witness this in whatever's next. Is that if you're not paying attention to that, you can easily lose half of your net worth overnight. And
We've
so
seen it happen for money who's old enough to have seen it happen. So
right. The market now, you're going to see it again. And I talk about that. I'm young. So I talk about this with people who are older than me, and I have to kind of give them a reality check of I watched my parents go through this. So you experienced this in 2008 and you're like, oh my gosh, this was terrible. Right. The problem is that you had the last 15 years to rebuild your net worth, except for you're not 40 anymore. You're you're 60. So your income making opportunity is now gone. And that's why
This is a little smaller, right? And some of and with intent, right? A lot of us are looking to retire when you get to that age. Let's talk about that just for a second before you get into too much, because who really is a good client for these? Because you're right, there are many of us who have worked really hard. One of the problems that we run into during the environment that we're in right now is a lot of us are looking to buy homes or might be looking to sell their home. Bottom line, when you're looking to purchase new real estate, a lot of times you have to put up some equity, right? And so I've had stories, personal stories of people who are putting up their stock portfolios, and next thing you know, they're no longer could qualify because that has dropped in half. So imagine having a place to park this money where it's not as volatile and susceptible to all these whims that are inevitable, right? We got to work through them. And if you really are positioned correctly, these whims in the market are opportunities for you to make money, not necessarily be concerned and be, bearish because you've been hurt. So tell us a little bit more again about the things that you're investing in, because this is exciting.
Sure. So when you're thinking about like the alternative space, if you don't have any experience outside of real estate, because what people don't realize is that real estate is a huge part of what an alternative investment is. The barriers of entry are different, right? There's not a barrier of entry to real estate. Anybody can buy real estate. Now, with most private equity opportunities, like things that we invest in, there is a barrier of entry. You have to be an accredited investor. You have to be a qualified investor. You have to have $1 million, $2 million net worth. You have to have high incomes over $200,000, $300,000 a year. And these are the barriers of entry into private equity. So that does keep a lot of people out. But because of the last couple of years, we have a whole new set of millionaires, and all of those people are young, maybe even older if they were investing in some more creative things like cryptocurrency, that don't necessarily know where to put their money. So they're either sitting on cash or they're buying a bunch of real estate, right? Because there's what else is out there. So, and that's what we focus on. People do not come to us for real estate. They go to people, right. Jasmine, for example. So they come to me for the off-market crazy deals that we do down here in Texas, in the Wild West. So
let's talk about those. For example, I love, let's start off soft, right? Let's start off about, I heard you have, and this is what got me excited, you invested in coffee. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So I have a relationship with a team who bought 1,000 acres in the Jamaican Blue Mountains. So if you're a coffee drinker, the most expensive, best coffee in the world comes from Jamaica. Jamaica and Kona in Hawaii, right? So these are the best places to grow coffee. It is the most amazing coffee in the world. It's also the most expensive coffee in the world. Now, Kona is expensive because it's very expensive to produce. Jamaican coffee is very expensive because it's very good. So, and also very cheap to produce. So that's why we picked Jamaica. So we bought 1,000 acres out in Jamaica. We've partnered with the existing farmers in that region to give them fertilizer and irrigation technology to boost their production. And then we allow them to add their production to our commercial production in order for everybody to benefit. So when we talk about ESG, this is a part of that. Like we might not be, it's a US company growing in Jamaica. So we are employing 100 people in Jamaica. Now,
I love it.
Yeah, if you've never been to Jamaica, it's a very expensive place to be. Everything there is very, very expensive because they have to import it all. There's nothing like, and this gives the people of Jamaica an opportunity to be part of something and
I love it.
Yeah, make a living and be proud of the product they're creating. Now we're on the wholesale side. So we're not creating like a retail product that you can go buy on the internet. Basically, every Blue Mountain coffee brand that you're buying is buying raw green.
From us. So that's one of the wonderful opportunities for you, right? So let's say you know that this is the real deal. You drink this at home. You're like, how do I get and become a part of this, right? Investing in a fund like hers is the reason why I was so excited to become part of what you are doing here, right? Because now we have an opportunity. Now, to be clear, the people that really benefit from this, as she says, she has some minimums that you need, like every fund to get involved. A lot of us, as mentioned, we want to park our money somewhere different because we're at that time in our life where we don't and should not be taking certain risks. A lot of us did not partake in the Bitcoin and things like that, because again, where our risk profile was, although we knew it could have been a great opportunity, but investing in things like this coffee, and then give us an idea of something else that you invest in. You have a lot of exciting things.
Yeah. So like just to touch on the risk part, right?
Yeah,
We're a completely different set of risks. You have the market risk, which is manipulated basically by, the big firms and whatever's happening in the media or
Right.
globally, right? And all of the portfolios are affected the same way, unless you're like independently managing what you're investing in. And this is going to be your hedge funds and your day traders, basically.
Right.
Now, what we're doing is non-correlated. So whatever's
Right.
going on in the market isn't really necessarily affecting our assets,
Right.
but each one of the assets that we're involved in has their own set of risks, right? And you have to decide, can I take that risk, or do I want to take that risk? And the benefit of being in like an actively managed fund, which is like what I do, is that you have somebody who full time is managing each one of these assets risk and mitigating by diversifying. So you have somebody who's mitigating that risk for you, so that you can enjoy the passive returns without having to worry about, oh, if the side of the mountain catches on fire, what do I do?
Right, that would be a risk, right?
Am I up a creek?
Right.
And the answer to that is no, because we'll sell it, right? And there's also all these other things we're doing, right? We've mitigated the risk of the mountain catching on fire by XYZ. And those are the things that I have to think about, because you as an investor isn't going to think, what are the risks of a Jamaican mountain?
Right. All you know is everyone loves to drink it. So that's something that you know that you're going to make money on. Before we go to the next segment, you invest in some controversial things as well. Let's talk about that. Let's meet this head on, right? Yes. I love the fact, whether you know it or not, that you invest in ammunition. Is that correct?
Yes. So
tell us a little bit about that decision.
Yeah. I have a client that calls us like the Texas Fund. They're out of New York, and because we do oil and gas and we do guns, right? And I really like the manufacturing space. I'm really heavy into like the industrial space, just because there's a lot of movement, ESG, and this administration on the Build Back America. I think that also that mission is pushed in the GOP as well, and it's about rebuilding our infrastructure, our manufacturing power as the United States, a lot of these things that existed post-World War, right? And we're kind of moving back in that direction because there is all this turmoil happening overseas. So in Texas, I was able to connect with a ammunition manufacturer. I've known him for several years and helped his business grow from what he was doing as a reloader to what he is now being the 4th primer producer in the United States. For those of you in California, you don't necessarily know what, I mean, that you guys have the second largest amount of guns actually in your state next to Texas. And the ammo shortage comes from the lack of primers in the market. And the primer is like the chemical in the back of the gun that's in this little tiny cup at the back of the bullet that shoots the projectile out. So it's what the hammer hits, it explodes, lights the powder that shoots the projectile. So there's only 3 companies in the United States that made primers, and these are your Federals and Winchesters, right? But they're all using equipment that's 100 years old, manufacturing processes that is a century old. Okay, so what happens?
Like you can come in and infuse capital and help them upgrade, right? And then take part of that 3x, 2x, whatever it is.
Right.
We talk about asymmetrical risk. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So listen, we love the fact that you are able to expose us to stuff like this and also have these conversations with us, right? So we're going to have Kelly back many, many times on this because I know there are a lot of questions out there, right? And so how is it that we are finding these opportunities, and how is it that we're building relationships, right, to make sure that we, are able to capitalize on these and bring them to our investors. So we're excited about this. Myself, we have started a fund called Elos Capital Management. And so I'm excited to talk about that. And that's going to be strictly involving paper. So as Kelly mentioned, real estate, I was raised on real estate. I love transitioning now to an alternative space where I'm just dealing with the paper, right? So that's where that similarity comes in, and giving you an opportunity to invest in both of these funds is really that well-rounded, that space that you really need to be in. I come from a background as being a financial advisor. I've worked with Morgan Stanley Dean Witter out of New York City. One of the things I can tell you is diversification is key. And what she mentioned here is non-correlated assets. So when we come back from break, thank you for tuning in to KCAA Radio. When we come back from break, we're going to wrap this up by talking about the importance of non-correlated assets and how we can get in touch with Kelly and become part of this alternative wealth partnership movement that she has. Thank you very much. We'll be right back.
Fire Up Connect is the most innovative business networking group, supporting and collaborating with a dozen of small businesses that are interested in building and establishing strong business connections, hosting educational live seminars while carrying out business and community-driven projects, as well as marketing programs as a part of its membership program. Fire Up Connect also offers virtual assistance with a wide range of services including inbound customer support, chat support, appointment setting and email management, graphic designing, video editing, web design and development, social media marketing, e-commerce solution, content writing and much more. For more information, head on over to www.fireupconnect.com. Fire Up Connect, helping success stories unfold every day.
The toughest part in the lending process is patience. Like I tell all my clients, once you get those keys in hand, it'll all be worth it.
Everything that they said they were going to do, they did. I saved so much money working with First Lending Solutions. I love my new house. I couldn't be happier.
So reach out to me at First Lending Solutions so I can help you get started.
You can contact Dafina Miller with First Lending Solutions at 951-973-0123, DafinaMillerMortgage.com.
Are you a real estate investor looking for a new opportunity in one of the top tourist destinations in the world? Look no further. Welcome to Punta Cana. Perla Bahia is a private resort-style community in Punta Cana that consists of modern condos, custom villas, and various commercial amenities. So if you're interested in learning more or joining us on one of our monthly investment tours, don't hesitate to contact me today at 909-494-2280.
Real Men of Real Estate.
Men of Real Estate radio show here on KCAA. Notes, mortgages can be purchased.
All of us want to live in thriving communities.
Basically go to the radio station KCAA radio.com.
You can find us on your dial at 102.3 FM, 1050 AM, as well as 106.5 FM.
This is Steve Matley. Join me every Thursday at 3 p.m. right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations radio talk show. I spent decades as a professional construction manager, business owner, real estate developer, and a college educator, and I enjoy learning new things from other people. We talk a lot about real estate, business, and finance, but we cover a diverse range of other topics as well. Some of the topics we've discussed in the past few months include real estate investing, leadership, higher education, ADUs, marketing using technology, multifamily rental properties, business strategy, entrepreneurship. You never know who may show up or what they may talk about, so join us right here on KCAA for Building Solid Foundations Radio. Hi, this is Steve Matley. As a construction professional, I know the importance of selecting the right contractor for the job. Power Solar employs only professional installers. Power Solar will provide a knowledgeable consultant to help analyze your current electric bill, identify site placement, and correct solar technology for your home. Contact KCAA Producer at gmail.com for a free financial savings proposal with no obligation, or call 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken. Again, that's KCAA Producer at gmail.com or 951-551-1350 and ask for Ken.
Welcome back. Thank you for tuning into KCAA Radio. We are Jasmine Mullah and Kelly Wingett here talking to you about the opportunities of investing in funds. We just were talking about non-correlated risk. And Kelly, as we wrap this up here, please tell us more about what non-correlated risks are and why they're important to your success and what drives you to bring this.
Sure. So when we're talking about non-correlation, we're talking about to the market, right? The public market, and which is manipulated by several different things. If you're just joining us, it's, you've got the big firms that control a lot of that movement, but also the media and what's happening on a global scale, right? Our non-correlated assets in the private space don't deal with those same kind of volatility as the stock market, right? So when you're looking at different assets in alternatives, you want to figure out what is my risk level, right? How much risk can I take? Where am I in my investment journey, my retirement journey, et cetera? Because the different asset classes that you have access to in the alternative space can vary from like very risky as like cryptocurrency to very safe like real estate. And so that's the kind of the biggest difference. Choosing an asset that kind of fits your risk tolerance and your understanding. So how much time do you want to spend?
And your fund seems to be right there in the middle when it comes to the risk, right? In my opinion, right? You've taken, you're not as conservative as the traditional real estate, kind of like myself. We're getting better returns in real estate because we're actually dealing in paper, right? And then you're getting, in some cases, even better returns in the paper, which is amazing, right? Because you're dealing with some of these hard assets. And because they're hard assets, some of your risks are different, but in my opinion, a little less risky than some of those less hard assets when we talk about the Bitcoins and things out there. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, I'd really try to focus on risk mitigation. I don't like to lose money, and I'm not going to lose money for my clients. So I try to make sure that we're picking assets that are backed by something. And this doesn't necessarily mean like a piece of property, but things about like, is this business a good thing to attach a note to? Is this tech company a good idea to like stick money behind? Like, what is tangible there when we're talking about software? And I think that's kind of the cool thing about being diverse like that. In the same way that you can have the same diversification in real estate, like going from a physical piece of property to notes,
right.
And that non-correlation just in those two sides of real estate, because the note world very different than somebody owning a physical piece of property. And when you have a lot of competition in real estate right now, which is why I don't participate in real estate very much, but you can't get the type of returns that you saw 5-6 years ago because you have just this huge influx of people getting involved in real estate, but they're not on the paper. They're not on the paper side. So your competition is way less and you have more control of the people that are buying the physical properties.
Very true. Very low barrier to entry on that side. And that's one of the things that when you want to talk about making sure that you can keep your money amongst the dollars that are going to hang around, what you like to call the old money, this is what the older money is doing. We're investing in funds. We're looking for the asymmetrical risk where we can go in and get opportunities where we can actually get returns that are extraordinary, right? But also mitigating risks that we understand. And that's one of the things that I love about being able to have access to Kelly. So speaking of access to you, this is one of the things that I love about you as well. Investing in your fund, people have access to you. You make yourself available on some of the most familiar platforms like LinkedIn. You're going to be found on the show should anybody have questions. But it's actually a radio station number. So when you come back, you can dial 909-792-5222. That's 909-792-5222. That's for future reference. You can always call in and ask questions, but giving access to a portfolio manager is really what's unique here. And a lot of us at this level need to feel comfortable, and comfortability is what we're going here for. So how do we find out about some of the returns that you guys are giving access, and how do people contact you to get involved?
So like you said, I'm very active on LinkedIn. I manage my own LinkedIn account. So if you think that you can message there, you're going to get a robot, it's not going to happen. It'll be me and all of my sarcastic wit. You can access us on alternativewealthpartners.com. All of our contact information is there. We have a contact sheet there. You can submit a request for an appointment for me. My Calendarly link is pretty accessible. That was the biggest challenge that I had being in private equity, was not having access to the decision makers when I'm the one that gave them the money, right?
Good money, yeah.
Yeah, it's still your money, whether you give it to somebody else to manage or not. Like ultimately the decision is yours. So I always want to be accessible to my clients. And so you can find me. I'm not very hard to find.
So to be clear, you with this fund that you have, do you need to be accredited to invest, right?
Yes, you have to be accredited. We do have relationships with people who have access to opportunities where you do not have to be accredited. I will still have a conversation with you. That's the other thing. Private equity typically shuts the door on people who don't have millions of dollars to invest with them. I'm not going to do that. I will have a conversation with you and explain our space and tell you different ways that you can get to the level of accreditation.
Yeah,
she have access to these types of deals.
She's referred a lot of people to the Note Assistance Program, which many of you guys know me from there, where we basically turn people, if you're not already accredited, into accredited or solidify that through individual note investing opportunities. But one of the biggest reasons people are not at this space, which is becoming, dare I say, easier, right? It's becoming easier to become a millionaire nowadays, right? And so it's just because they don't have access. So what we're doing with this platform is making sure you have access. So one of the most important things I love that she said is that she is accessible. She has a webinar that you do. Can you talk about that? I think it's every 2 weeks. Can we talk about how we can? Yes.
Yeah. So we do a webinar every 2 weeks on a Friday. There is going to probably be a shift from a webinar to like maybe a weekly 20-30 minute podcast, just so that people aren't bored talking to me about money. But we will give you access to information even if you are not a client. So you'll get to know what we're up to, talking about current events and our insight and things that's going on in the finance world, or even just like global events.
Right.
And because it's important to start educating yourself when you're working up to be an accredited investor, or even if you've crossed over to that millionaire status.
Right, now what? You're like,
yeah, now what? And so we talk about that, because there's a big difference between somebody who has a net worth of $1 to $5 million and somebody that has a net worth of $1 billion. And the difference is just how much allocation you have to alternatives. And it typically shifts from 10% to 90% as you go up in net worth.
And newsflash, guys, the moment that threshold is passed, it's not like doors open and people come knocking at your door and bringing you all the tools that now you need as someone who's passed that threshold. So we're excited to be part of that tool chest that you have. Thank you again for listening. We're going to wrap it up here. Kelly, it's been my pleasure to have as always, to work with you. And we look forward to having you on more often. And for those of you who are interested, again, let's leave with your contact information one more time, because it is a radio and someone might be driving.
Yes, if you visit us at alternativewealthpartners.com, my contact information is on there, or you can submit a request to have an appointment, but we're all available online.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much. Have a great one.
We've all heard jokes that begin with a rabbi, a priest, and a minister walk into a bar. Well, a rabbi, a minister, and a deacon actually walk into the KCAA studios every Sunday morning at 7 a.m. to host the radio program Religion on the Line. And that's no joke. Together, they offer a mixture of humor and serious conversation about things that really matter in life and how to make our lives happier and more fulfilling. They compare religious doctrine and learn from each other while bringing a unique perspective of religion to the KCAA audience. Listen every Sunday morning from 7 to 8 a.m. for Religion on the Line, the intersection of humanity and divinity, right here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listeners behind.
If you're looking for a full or part-time sales position and you have radio, TV, or print media experience, KCAA has a great opportunity waiting for you that pays the highest commissions in the market. KCAA is the only station in the IE that broadcasts on 3 frequencies, so advertisers receive 3 ads for 1 low rate. This makes KCAA a must-buy for every local business. If you're interested in a sales position with us, email CEO@kcaaradio.com.
KCAA.